Thank you, Nicola. Hello, everyone. Thank you for picking the right room. I'm on a tight 15-minute schedule, so I'm going to start at the end. And starting at the end in matters such as this can be beneficial because visualizing and theorizing about the end game and how it's going to look like can inform and should inform current decisions that we are taking. So I'm going to cut to the chase. Information Initiative is the name of the end game. Information Initiative, getting there, staying there, and being there. One thing we know from the Red Queen effect is that the only way to stay in one place is to keep running forever. And what I mean by Information Initiative is simple. Making the other side, in many of our cases, the Russian side, compete with planned, crafted, designed, and communicated information campaign from our side that peddles and sells well the truth instead of the usual story of us having to acknowledge and try to disprove a lie that is being sold by them. And sell is an important word here because let's remind ourselves that the internet is a marketplace first and foremost, and after all, it's for buying and selling stuff. And stuff can be ideas. And with Identrics, do have good relationship with the people that we know are the best at selling stuff online. So, starting from the positive end is easy, of course, but this is not a cop-out. This optimism is not only in our future, but it's also in our rear-view mirror. Not so long ago when the social networks were actually networks and media and were actually connecting people, when we didn't have algorithms peddling for clicks and we didn't have the poor journalists having to compete with automated news for clicks. But far be it from me to romanticize the past, as this pastime can be a dangerous thing in an ex-communist country around the Black Sea. So, we have to solve for scale. Yes, this was always true as a task. It's become harder as a task with the addition of ease of access to generative AI and synthetic data. And scaling is usually the something that makes or breaks any type of enterprise. We also have to solve for, yes, social media, social networks, etc. But this is already done. Like, Cambridge Analytica is in the past. What we have to solve for, going through the technology, is foreign information campaigns that are being facilitated by domestic actors. We have to solve for the struggle, and it is struggle because education usually is, for the struggle with media literacy. And it's not only for the next generation. The harder part is this generation that's eroded in its media literacy. So at least 3 large areas converge or must start to converge here. When I say foreign and domestic, I'm thinking about regulation and politics and government, right? When I say media, I'm thinking about communication. And when I say literacy, of course, this entails education. So stable, consistent, active communication and collaboration between those spheres is what would put us at an information initiative and keep us there. So, democracy dies in darkness, I believe, said the Washington Post in 2017. And this year, for the first time, they didn't openly endorse any of the presidential candidates under the ownership and obviously some attempted leadership under Mr. Bezos. Media and the definition of media, and by proxy the role of media, should be at the core values and targets for any endeavor that tries to take the mantle of trying to tackle any type of foreign information campaign. But, and we should recognize and hear the very loud presence of current technology and the incremental ways in which it changes the very fabric of the information sphere, of the media landscape. What we are seeing, and we will continue to see, is the internet most likely being fragmented into different oases of controlled areas with controlled access, with probably good quality data, with probably known actors, authors, journalists, and writers. And these oases will likely be surrounded by a desolate desert of synthetic content and of anonymity and the risk of being automatically hacked and cyber attacked, because this is being automated now. So what we should do, and I think this will push governments to do, is to reconsider their role and what it means, maybe not to meddle directly, but what it means to foster an environment which allows the media to keep and to find out new ways for revenue streams. Because if we don't, this is going to be really hard achieving media literacy, because we have the next generation, the young generation, being barred from good and qualitative information and from good and qualitative journalism. For the last 2 years, the people that work in AI know that we are on the verge of something very transformative. People that have used AI can feel that we are on the verge of something very transformative. It's on the tip of our tongues, but it's not only about technology that's going to automate, that's going to change or make industries obsolete. It's also about societal transformation. And it's an interesting and necessary thought experiment, and I urge everyone to think in this direction. But since we have a job to do, and we are in the here and now, my suggestion for a framework for thinking about the current state of language models and AI as a whole is lateral intelligence. What I mean by this is, for the first time in ever, we have people that were not interested in any type of technology. They got interested in technology. We have people that are outside of the science bubbles. We have those chat models break down the data for them, and they're gaining new knowledge. And a more technical perspective from our end, for example, it's easier now than ever to make connections between structured data, like, for example, databases with PEPs, politically exposed persons, and unstructured data, which are news articles, which aids in the analysis of such narratives. So this is the way I think to think about AI currently, as lateral intelligence. And this is what we are doing with media intelligence. We are not expanding it, but we are bringing onto it different bubbles of knowledge so we can create a more comprehensive system so that analysts can use it to create reports and make decisions and talk with decision makers. Some of the tools that we have created, I mentioned synthetic content. It's an absolute must, of course, to know this. Of course, this is in the European Union's AI Acts. We, the citizens, should have the right to know a piece of synthetic content when we see one, just by the label of it. Which is another aspect why I'm thinking that local governments are going to start to play a more direct role into how media is protected and handled. We are interested in hate speech. We are interested in helping the people who are doing the moderation on the different websites, on the different news websites. And of course, the double-edged sword that was mentioned by my colleagues. The reason that we have created this is because of the synthetic content and because you can automate a whole scenario of putting out a piece of content there and simulating what is the best way for its virality. But this is also the same sandbox that allowed us to create the tools to detect synthetic content and hate speech content. And probably most importantly, the language aspect of it, the translation aspect of it, allows us to cross borders in analysis. So, empowering media and journalists, I think this is clear for everyone. What we are specifically doing here is we are analyzing whether the narratives starts from someone who is real. Real journalists have real names, have real email addresses, and they have real media that they're writing about. So this is easy to guess. But we are taking a step further, of course. We are also interested in what are the sources that they're coming from. When was this registered? Are they paying for some security certificate? And we are looking at the narrative itself. How much synthetic content does it contain? Does it contain clickbait articles? Does it contain very similar articles to each one? And we also measure the impact of the news narrative on social media, not content from social media, but how much engagement it got. And this works like a charm when we are trying to pinpoint designed campaigns that are automated to engage with the current narrative. We call it Identrics information quality. So I had to concede a couple of slides to my marketing team, which is why you're not seeing an abstract shape on this one of my picky choosing. But what I want to say here is that I think we are looking too much for the next shadowy company that's going to, with cloak and dagger, change the course of the elections. This doesn't need to happen a second time. The first time it worked. We're just seeing the results of that. What is interesting this time around is tech moguls that have the whole information sphere. And in this case, Brazil and France set some nice examples of how local laws can be enforced. And another thing I'm thinking is that if we are all agree, as we seem to do, that this AI thing will be so encompassing, now it is a good time as ever to take a page from the Americans and try and foster government and private relationship. I think it would be easy now to take advantage of all those local technological companies that know how AI works and how it can be applied to help the citizens. I'm going to avoid the obvious, who I'm missing here, and I told you that we know the people that can sell. These are the people that relate with the public. These are the people that market ideas. These are the people that communicate for a living. We need to start looking at those communication campaigns as a product. We need to package it, we need to polish it, and we need to ship it. And we need to work with the people who are doing it already. And almost lastly, I want to draw your attention on a curious semantic closeness I see in what I'm sure your feeds are overwhelmed with, AI agents. These words are exactly the words we are using when describing the ideal democratic process, isn't it? We need participation, we need access to data, which in turn gives us the ability to communicate and also advocate, but also be responsible in front of someone. So these I find interesting ideas to ponder for the people in decision-making places when they are deciding on how we should handle and frame the AI. I couldn't bring myself to bore you with dashboards and model performances, so I'm just going to say that all technology that I've mentioned is under one roof in our Identrics Annex platform. And in this endeavor, no company, no organization, no person is an island. So a big thank you to our friends and partners. Here it is.